Uh-oh. Well, now we've done it.
WTF, c'est quoi cet insect?
Yeah. So you know French.
Yeah, ready to do show. Sorry, I'm gonna turn off this video.
Yeah, you probably don't want to have it on permanent repeat, or you're gonna hate
I
yourself.
think I watched it 20 times.
Honk, Scott.
You have PTSD like I do about it. All right, here we go. Showtime. It begins in 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, welcome back to Core. This is Core. It's a podcast. We talk about video games. I'm Scott Johnson with Bo Schwartz and John Jagger. And once again today, we're back at it. It's Wednesday, May 29th of the 2019. No, wait, is that right? Yeah, 29th. A month's almost over is what I'm getting at.
2919.
Yeah.
A little 05 in there.
If there was ever a time to support our Patreon, it's right now because the month's about to end. You're going to miss out on the rad stuff happening in May.
Gotta get your payment in before we charge those cards. You got
That's
2
right.
days left.
Get in
Call
there.
now.
Get in there
It's
now.
important because
Yep.
then we get your money.
Yep. And then June's right all up in it. And then you're like, oh, I'll just put it off till the end of June. And then we're in the same mistake. We got the same problem. So now would be the time. Hey, I don't want to start the show with a commercial, basically, for our support thing. Instead, let's talk about video games. There's a lot going on. E3 is like a mere, 2 weeks away? 2 weeks, I think.
Two-ish.
2 weeks 2 weeks minus a day, I think. I think technically it will have begun in earnest. Oh, no, that's not true. Doesn't it
I
start?
don't know. It's all messed up this year.
Yeah, everything's really weird. And like every year, everyone always says, hey, are you and Dunaway from the Boop Show and John and whoever else going to be, Patrick, everybody going to do coverage again this year? I mean, I'm planning on it, but I don't really know kind of what's going on yet. We don't even have Sony at this damn thing.
Right.
So
the amount of press conferences is going to be significantly lowered. Some of the things are not actually press conferences. So you look at it and you go, oh, EA's doing a thing. But then you get into the fine print and it's all, no, they're just having a thing where people are playing stuff and they're going to probably throw a trailer on the internet for people to look at. So there'll be stuff. I mean, Microsoft is going to have their show. But
Google's doing
Sony.
a thing. You got Google.
Nintendo's doing their thing.
Yeah.
Is the PC gaming show coming back?
I don't know. I haven't heard confirmation on whether the PC gaming show is happening again this year or if that's.
I think I saw a lineup for that.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Is Day 9 doing the thing again?
I don't know. I don't remember. I just thought I saw an article with a list of games on there.
Seems about right. I mean, it was okay last year. It wasn't the worst thing I'd ever seen.
Sometimes the ones that should be put out to pasture stick around. They linger.
I mean, that thing has problems, but I just like to say every year that they're never Day 9's problems. He's just hired to host the night.
No, I like Day 9 a lot.
Yeah.
And he does a fine job with a show that's existence is questionable.
Yeah, it's not his.
Yeah, June 10th at 10 a.m.
Oh.
It's happening.
Is that a Wednesday, by the way?
Sean Plott is coming back.
Okay.
And there'll be Frankie Ward.
Oh, he has a co-host he did last year. I had like a little off-camera
Frankie Ward is an award-winning esports and gaming host who brings her trademark combination of wit and knowledge to every desk or stage she appears on.
Yes. Yeah, he would say to her, well, that was quite a game, wasn't it? And then she'd be in another place going, it sure was, Day 9. Anyway, coming up next, it was like that.
I'm in the balcony with video games.
Yep, I have video games all around me. Yeah. Anyway, there's big stuff this year. We know that already, but a lot of it's stuff we know, like Cyberpunk.
Oh, no.
What?
So there's a section on their webpage that says Our Sponsors.
Uh-oh.
And then it says Presenting Sponsor Epic Games, and it's a really large logo. Epic Games Store.
Uh-oh.
And then there's small logos underneath it for like Paradox and Funcom and Frontier, but the Epic Games Store is a big logo.
It's probably their main thing instead of AMD this time, because AMD was always their big sponsor before.
Oh, yeah, not seeing any AMD. I guess we need some of that Epic money they're giving away to everybody.
Yep,
Yeah,
they're
we're
out.
going to see a lot of, and this will be an Epic Store exclusive for the first 6 months.
And then Day 9 will go, did you hear that, Frankie? First,
I sure did.
I sure
up
did,
in the
Day 9.
balcony with games.
Well, anyway, there's a lot to look forward to. Cyberpunk 2077, that's a thing.
Yeah, they'll be showing some more footage from it, so I'm excited.
Yep, not coming out this year, though. sadly, but that's fine. I can wait till 2020 or whatever it is they're doing.
Release it when it's done, CD Projekt Red.
Yeah,
We'll wait.
just do it in my lifetime. I mean, that's all I'm really saying.
Just do it.
You
I
got
mean, you're getting Death Stranding, so
yes, I am getting Death Stranding. Turns out I'm getting it in November.
I saw your tweet.
Yeah. I had just done a freaking tweet joking about how we're never going to hear about that release date, and then
You'll be
3 days
right.
later, there it is. Yeah, so it's happening now. But we're gonna get Google's freaking what's it called, Stadia thing. They're going to talk more about that. You mentioned Microsoft and whatever their plans are going to be. Sony and Nintendo are doing video stuff. I don't know when that's scheduled for, but that's all happening. And but no big EA conference, no big. Let's see. I think maybe Ubisoft is still doing one.
Yeah, I think they are.
There was another major one that stepped down outside of Sony, and I can't remember who it was. Crap.
Is Square still doing theirs? They tend to do a little thing. I think they are. I think they said the Marvel's Avengers thing was going to be.
Oh right.
There.
But that may be at like Microsoft's show or something. I don't know if it's their own
Yeah.
show, but it could be their own show. But regardless, whatever it is and however it lays out, we're going to try to do a bunch of our fun coverage we do every year. And this year, the files will be posted on the Boop Show and Core because spreading the love around. So that'll be fun. But let's talk about Death Stranding for a minute. We have an official release date for this thing. I should probably talk about it later. I kind of want to get to it because it's so freaking weird. But we have this.
Now. We can do the other one.
All right,
later.
we'll switch this
I know
around.
the guy whose show this is, and I think he'd probably be okay with it.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
All right. Bo's okay. All right. The CEO has signed off, everybody. So now this. We'll switch around a little bit. Death Stranding coming to the PlayStation 4 this November. I really wish this was a PC announcement as well, but it's not. He got a lot of money from Sony, so I think that's the deal. Their previous game, what was it? Metal Gear
5.
Gear 5, The Reckoning. What was it called?
It was called Metal Gear Solid 5.
It had some other part of the name though.
The Phantom Pain.
Yes,
Yeah.
the Phantom Pain. That was a
But
PC.
only if you say it exactly like that.
The Phantom Pain.
The Phantom Pain.
That thing showed up on everything, including the PC, and the PC version was great, like really, really well optimized and played beautifully and all that. So I'm bummed out about this because I would prefer these kinds of games on a PC, but it appears, at least for now, this will be a PlayStation 4 launch only in November, and they put out a new trailer today. Now, I think it's fair to say that was the weirdest frickin' thing I've seen since the last time they put out a trailer for this game.
I really like the Phantom Pains trailer. I never played the game, but I just love that trailer a lot. It was just
The trailer was great, but
it's not like other trailers that are like and it's just like all this like exciting super CGI. It's just like it's people saying stuff
Yeah.
and pictures of them just like looking weird, making faces,
yeah, they do that.
and it's long. They're long,
Yeah,
but it's not like an Overwatch mini cinematic that's a short. It's disjointed and trailery, but it's just long. I love it.
yeah. No, his style of trailer making is freaking weird, and these Death Stranding trailers are the same bag. They're elongated in strange ways. They feel like they have about 3 endings to them. The title card comes way late, but then you realize it's actually not that late because the trailer is longer than you thought it would go.
It's 8 minutes.
Yeah, and it's okay. Like, and it's not anyone's, and nobody's complaining. Like, I want to see all there is to see about this psycho brain fart.
No,
that is,
the incredible thing is I still have no idea what it's about. Like the TLDR on this trailer is, an 8-minute trailer. I'll figure out what this game's about. It's like, nope.
I mean,
Managed to put 8 minutes of video and not still give you a sense of what it might be.
here's my overarching theory, but it's not going to be very detailed because I don't know what the nitty gritty is. But my sense is the world's gone to crap. Why? The dead are somehow able to come back and breach reality and come back and haunt or hurt people. And more than just zombies or ghosts. It's something more than that they're trying to portray here. But I think that's the general idea. And I think those babies in the tank, in fact, they even had a name for them in this new trailer, and I forgot to write it down.
BB.
BB. BB?
Yeah.
BB.
Yeah. Because the collector's
BT.
edition comes with a BB statue, and that's the little baby in the bottle.
But it stands for Bridge Baby. That's what it is.
Bridge Baby.
The BB stands for Bridge Baby, and a Bridge Baby, I think, is a way for him and them to sense the other side, because the baby is fresh.
He even descends a place called Bridges.
Yes, he does. It's like a company. It's like the Portal Company sort of idea. It's a place called Bridges, whatever that is. But and they got logos everywhere. But I think he carries that baby around because that baby senses. And when you have one of those, it's your way of being able to sense the other side more clearly, and then do something about it, fight them, whatever you got to do. And he does some of that. And the best I can tell is it's the baby that does that helps them do that. It makes them more sensitive to the other side. Mads Mikkelsen, I think, is from the other side and figure out a way to retake his flesh and be a dude again, but he'll be a psycho and a horrible guy in it.
But he also seems like in certain points of the trailer, you're from the perspective of the Bridge Baby.
Yeah.
And it's Mads talking to you like, hello, little Bridge Baby. Someday you will go to the moon. And then he starts singing, hi ho whatever he sings. And I'm like, what is going on in this trailer?
It's very odd. It's very odd. So I don't know what to make of it either, but I am starting to feel like a theme is coming out of this. Like there's this president, she's in a bed and dying apparently, and Norman Reedus is being all Norman Reedus in there and talking shit. And she says,
we president of jack shit or whatever.
Yeah, and she says, yeah, you're the president of jack shit. And she says, no, it matters. America has to be fixed or whatever. So it sounds like the country is just, devastated by whatever this breach is to the other side. And so this is the first time I've actually kind of sensed that, okay, I can kind of see a structure happening. It's still weird and the details are few, but I'm getting a better overall murky picture of what maybe that game is. Mechanically, I don't know. Mechanically, I can't tell.
I just want to point out to you, Scott, that his last game, Metal Gear Solid 5, was about a language virus. So any attempt to try to discern what that game might be about, you might wind up still being surprised.
No, you're totally right. And that's kind of what I love about it, is there's no way of knowing yet. And it will come off, and some of it, I guarantee you this, you'll be playing this game in November, and you'll be playing parts of it going, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And then a minute later, you're going to go, that's the most profound thing I've ever witnessed. And then you'll have another dumb moment, and then you'll have another profound moment. And it's going to be a mix of those things, and you're never really going to be totally sure what's going on. And the Reddit thing is going to be 60 miles long with theories, and I can't wait. I love this aspect of gaming. I wish there was more stuff like this from people like Kojima. It's never been enough for me. So yeah, man. Like,
there's also just this weird adherence to like realism.
Yeah,
because he's got that. It looks like your character will travel with a giant trunk on his back for all the equipment as a first in gaming history, to be like, here's what your actual inventory looks like, is a massive trunk on your back that he's got strapped to himself.
Yeah.
And at one point he doesn't have a weapon, so he picks up a briefcase and hits somebody with it. He just like picks a briefcase up off the ground.
Yeah.
You can't just unsheath weapons from magical space. You have to pick up actual items.
But
the ladder, like, it's a trailer.
No,
it's exciting. And then at one point he's like, "Do get out the ladder, put the ladder." Check out the sweet ladder tech, and also the sweet climbing poles that you can hammer into the ground. Like right at the top, the explosive open ladders.
Yeah, no, that's the only mechanics that they've shown in this game. And so we knew you could move a character around, and that's about all we knew from the previous stuff. In this one, it's like he's got some kind of cool Tron menu that comes up, and he can choose items from it. He chooses a ladder, climb a place he can't get to normally. But we don't know why. Does he need to do this traversal because there's something in the way? Is it something intrinsic to the game? Like, the gameplay is a complete mystery to me. I don't know what they're doing in there yet. But if they're this close to release, that stuff's all got to be fleshed out by now. But count on this. You'll be playing parts of it, guaranteed. There'll be parts of it where you input controller moves and he will respond on screen. But I'll bet you a gigantic part of this game is the craziest cutscenes you've ever seen. That's what I think it's going to be. So I think I'm fine.
I
with
mean, he's well known for it. He was the first person that ever told you, "Hey, you want to spend 30 minutes watching the end of Metal Gear Solid 2?" And you were like, "I guess. I mean, I came this far. I guess I should."
it.
He's responsible for one of the like worst days of school I ever had.
Oh,
in
do
my
tell.
life.
I need to hear this story. How was that?
So, back then, around the Metal Gear Solid 2 days, cutscenes were not generally really long.
Right.
And I was hooked on Metal Gear Solid 2 like so many people were. I was playing it. I was playing it perhaps a little later than I should have been playing it to begin with, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to finish this fight, wrap it up, call it a night. And then it goes on to be like a 30-minute cutscene, 5 minutes of gameplay, and then like another 30-minute cutscene. Next thing I know, it's like 3 in the morning, and it's like, oh, you got to get up for school in a couple hours. I was like, the next day I was just, what happened, John? I was playing Metal Gear Solid 2, and that game won't stop showing me cutscenes or codec calls.
Yeah. I had a 18-month-old then, and he just sat in my lap and stared at the screen, and I played with him almost that whole game. That's probably what's wrong with him.
Was it awkward for him when you were running around as Raiden holding his junk?
No, my gosh, I forgot about that. Why was he holding his junk? See, there's so many
He was naked.
so many weird questions I have about everything Kojima ever has done. With
And then Colonel Campbell would call you and talk to you about the space aliens.
even like the original Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation 1, and maybe even the stuff, the NES, like original Metal Gear games, they're all weird. They're so weird, and parts of them are rooted in reality. And I suspect the Death Stranding will have some of that where, like Bo alluded to, there's an adherence to realism in a funky way, like that giant thing on his back. The detail in the hardware they're using, it's going to feel like a place that's, you could be, it would exist, the technology could be a thing, and the people in it could be real. And they also look photoreal. Obviously, we're mocapping down to the freaking teeth on these people.
Yeah, how about the cast? Like a first time in a game trailer that it's like an actor roll call.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's other games with lots of
they're
actors, but
actual
not like this.
visual actors, but Troy Baker was in there.
Yeah, looking like
You
Troy
know,
Baker, Troy ass Baker, right, wearing the thing.
I mean, it could open up the route for just video game actors. Right now, voice actors are celebrated and known among certain communities, like quite well. In fact, some of them.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be cool to see the future of video games be like there are video game performers that perform in video games.
Well,
and
what's
it's not just voice
what's
acting.
the other one that's got? It's like this with the faces.
L.A. Noire.
No. That did, but that was different. But the one I'm thinking of is oh my gosh, the one that never comes out, Star Citizen.
Yeah. Gary Oldman, Mark Hamill,
Yeah, all those
Gillian
guys.
Anderson.
Mhm.
Oh my god, it's a
And
great
they all
cast.
look just like their counterparts because they're, again, mocapping every freaking crevice on their faces. But that's the other surprising thing. I knew about the Guillermo del Toro casting, and which I thought was kind of weird, but hey, whatever. He's a huge fan of Kojima, and plus he's weird himself, so great. Put all the weird people in, that's fine.
Also the Nicholas Winding Refn.
Yes.
That guy. Have you seen his movies?
Yes, he's
Valhalla
also
Rising and all that.
Yeah, also weird. Super weird actor. I like him, though. But then up pops freaking Lindsay Wagner from the Bionic Woman. Like, why is Lindsay Wagner in this? That was a really weird one for me, because when I was a kid, I was like 5 or 6 years old, my dad's watching Bionic Woman on CBS on Friday night or whatever. Like, I can't imagine her, like, is she just sitting at home going, yeah, tell Kojima I'll call him tomorrow. I think we have a deal. Like, I just can't imagine it. It's weird that she's in this, but fine.
Do you think anybody raced to update their IMDb saying, man, I can't wait to add that I'm going to be playing Die Hard Man in a video
Oh my
game?
god, Die Hard Man looks so cool. He's got
Yeah.
that mask on. I don't even know who he is.
I don't either, but he has 2 masks. He's got
They've,
one, and then he takes it off, and there's another one underneath it.
I
You
like
know?
Die Hard Man.
It's
also,
it's like those guys that have the glasses they have 2 pairs of sunglasses on. He takes one off, and the other one stays. It's kind of annoying, but sure, he's cool. I like him.
no, I'm good with Die Hard Man. He looks freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Also, his name is awesome.
Shut up.
It's just one of those Kojima things. Like, let's spend a lot of money and put a lot of care into making a quality product, and let's spend 2 seconds coming up with the name for this guy. What's a tough sounding name? Die Hard Man. Like a 5-year-old came up with it. And it's like, all right, we're going with that. Like, I'm just like,
Yeah, but that's how it's always been that way. Like Solid Snake and Liquid Snake and all the snake
Boss.
names. Big Boss is so stupid. So dumb.
Skullface was the villain in the last one. Guess what? Had a skull for a face.
Yep. Who was
imagine that.
Who was 6-shooter Yosemite? I can't remember his real name.
Ocelot.
Yeah, Revolver Ocelot.
Revolver Ocelot.
The guy is a cowboy in this modern hoo-ha, and his name is Revolver, for hell's sakes. Like, it's the silliest thing, and I love that. That's what I want. In fact, I'm a little bummed that the Norman Reedus character's name is simply just Sam, and that's it. Boring.
Yeah, it should be called Luggage.
Luggage Man.
It stands for Solid Action Man, so it's fine.
Luggage.
He's Luggage Man. Like, I love it, but it's like literally all the gameplay is like, I got all this stuff I'm carrying around. Yeah. Time travel is so hard.
It's just like watching a dad on Christmas. Like,
I'm in. I like that. It's like subversive. Everyone's like, we got to make a cool character, and you got to make sure his stuff looks cool when it's not equipped and sheathed. And
I mean, is Kojima a genius like we all think, or is he just a weird anomaly, and we make too much of a deal out of it?
I think it's a little of both, honestly. Like, I think he is. I think he's got some incredibly creative ideas, but I also think there is an element of he got away with it. Like, he found a way to sneak this in early, and he's been grandfathered into like a weird creators club as a result. Because anybody could come up with these ideas,
right?
In theory, but most people don't pursue them because they know there's no way in hell they can pitch it. I want to put a baby in a bottle, and I want Die Hard Man to be in there, and like, if you went down that list, you know nobody's gonna say yes. The only person who's gonna get a yes to that is Kojima, and part of it is because he's a genius, but also part of it is he got in real early, and now people are like, I don't know, I guess let him do his thing. People will be way into it. It's fine.
I'm trying to picture what it might be like to go to BlizzCon and corner JL and Brack and tell him this idea. So I've got this idea for a game. Like,
okay, let's hear this.
Randomly, right?
This is your elevator pitch. You're in the elevator.
No, I don't have an idea, but just say I've got an idea about a game. It's about a duck, and he likes to. He has a tricycle.
Yeah.
But the tricycle is secretly a portal to another dimension.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I'm not. He's a genius. I can't think of his.
Yeah. Now we've actually just proven that Kojima is a genius. No, I'm with you. Like, it's a hard pitch, but because that guy has this reputation, it's almost like they'll just take the risk no matter what, throw all the money at it they need to, and they'll have a huge hit on their hands. Like, this is going to be a giant seller. This is going to make a ton of money, based purely on the legend that is a Kojima game.
He spent however many millions of the money to make this game, and within the first 2 minutes, his trailer has the most amazing graphics, mocap, performance, and the gameplay focus. You get a ladder.
Yeah,
and people loved it. That's
best we can tell. You get a ladder that's super long too. By the way, that retractable ladder is amazing. But
look at how much he's wearing. I'm sorry, I'm just watching it now. Look at all the boxes this character has on him. I can't get. He's Luggage Man.
Yeah, no, he's Luggage Man, and he's in. What was I going to say? Oh, they've already sold out of the $200 collector's edition things that comes with a little baby statue and all that. That's done. So those are gone. I assume regular pre-orders are through the roof, and it'll do extremely well. So I'd like to take this opportunity to just say Konami is stupid. You guys. Let the biggest fish go ever. Why would you do that? You're a terrible company, and you make pachinko machines now, so F off. That's what I would say to them. But then I would say your loss is the rest of our gain, because now he's kind of unleashed. He doesn't have to work in the same Metal Gear world he's been working in forever, and he can make something truly unique and weird, and I personally am all for this. So they'll have my money on launch day. I wish it was coming to PC. I really wish that. I'll play it on my PlayStation. That's fine. But I know it will have the load times I wish it didn't have, and that's going to bug me. It's all about load times this generation, by the way, for me. That's the big bummer for me. It's mostly load times. on consoles. PCs, I don't experience them. They're just things are loading. They put up, in fact, it's frustrating on the other end where there's a bunch of important tips on the screen, and I don't have time to read them because the world loads in too quickly. At least on the PlayStation 4, I can sit back and read, the L1 button's going to do this for you, and you know what I mean? Like, it's weird. I'll get halfway through a tip on, I don't know, like Assassin's Creed Origins and go, or Odyssey rather, and just, it'll be gone. So I'm like, well, whatever tip that was, I'm sure it was good, but we're off to the races here. Let's play.
Yeah, I remember that game having incredibly long load times back when I played on my old PC, and now it's loading in about 10 seconds. And
Yeah.
It's like, oh, geez, we're ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
SSD, baby. Makes all the difference. All right. So there's that. We don't have to talk about that weird thing anymore. I was going to play some of the trailer for the chat, but the other day YouTube blocked a TMS video because I played the Picard Star Trek trailer.
I saw that. It was actually geolocked. I haven't seen it for...
Oh, really? Because it says here they won't show it anywhere. I don't know. But the reason they won't is they say that it's in violation of whatever. And two things come to mind. First of all, it's a trailer. You're supposed to show trailers, and it only benefits them if a whole bunch of people are pimping your trailer. Because it's a trailer, right? And not only that, people aren't even going to get your Picard show unless they pay up to sign up for the freaking CBS All Access, because that's where it's going to reside. It's not regular TV. You would only benefit from me talking positively about your thing in front of 1,000 live people by letting me play your damn thing. I didn't even have audio with it, and they still banned the entire video for about 10 seconds of video, whatever I played. And then
Wow.
there are reaction videos, there are remixes, there are overdubs, there are all kinds of other things out there, including one where somebody took that whole sequence and turned it into a Viagra commercial because it looks very Viagra-like. He's out in the...
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen it, so I
Build.
don't get the context. I heard you talk about it on TMS that it looks like a wine commercial for Napa Valley.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
I even mentioned that. And and great, that's a fun little parody. They're not blocked. Look, why? A-holes. So if I put up this thing now of Death Stranding, I'd probably get banned for that, so I'm not going to do it.
It's like if somebody made a copy of your flyer for whatever it is you were selling and started handing them out of their own volition, and you were like, no. You're not our official flyer guy.
Yeah, shut this guy down.
I don't want people knowing about my stuff. What are you doing?
Yeah.
It's
Well, I mean,
really
imagine
dumb.
all the cease and desist orders going out for the people who retweeted their trailer on Twitter.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure they're very upset about that. I mean, the bottom line is
It's stupid.
YouTube is run by robots, and they're all poor. They have poor judgment, these robots that run YouTube. They're bad at being robots.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Let's get back over to the big topic today. Gaming disorder has officially been recognized as a disease by the World Health Organization, the WHO, or the WHO.
The Who?
The
Well,
band-
band really went a long way in life.
Who are you?
I really want to know. Oh my gosh, you're better at it than me. Look at you go. You should make some music. I miss Bo music. You should make some music. Have you made
should.
music lately? It's good for you to do a creative music thing once in a while.
No, I mean, I've been working on stuff, but it's, time is... Oop.
Oh, I heard a die. That's a good sign.
I had a D20 in my hand and I dropped it. Sorry, everyone.
That's a good symbol of why you're so busy these days. Anyway, gaming disorder. This is interesting. I'm going to tell you what they said, and then we can talk about it. The online and offline definitions in the most recent ICD-11 article, which is put out by the World Health Organization, are essentially identical. Both are, quote, characterized by a pattern of persistent or recurring gaming behavior, unquote, with online gaming primarily conducted over the internet and offline gaming obviously not. In both cases, the proposed disorder manifests in three ways, is what they're saying. Impaired control over gaming, i.e. onset, frequency, intensity, duration, termination, and context. Imagine somebody playing World of Warcraft for 30 hours straight. That's kind of who they're talking about. Increased priority given to gaming to the extent that the gaming takes precedence over other life interests and daily activities, jobs, sleep, marriage, kid raising, that kind of stuff. Continuation of escalation of gaming despite the occurrence of negative consequences. The behavior pattern is of sufficient severity to result in a significant impairment in personal, family, social, educational, occupational, and other important areas of functioning. All right, that's their definition. I'm going to say something shocking and controversial here. As someone who normally, most of the time when somebody starts yapping about a thing to do with games, I usually roll my eyes because A, they usually don't know what they're talking about, or they're reacting based on, fear tactics. Comic books are going to destroy our kids. TV is going to destroy our kids. Radio will destroy our kids. Video games will destroy our kids. Like that kind of thinking. That's usually my initial reaction. However, I actually think there is something to it. It doesn't mean I think it's a drug or that it affects everybody. Not at all. But we are kidding ourselves and actually doing ourselves a disservice as gamers to not at least recognize that gaming, like other vices, or I shouldn't say vices, other things you could spend your time doing, if that's all you do and it becomes a compulsion for you, is not necessarily a healthy thing. Do we need to define it as such? I don't know. I'm speaking out of my element here because I am no doctor or scientist or PhD of any kind. So I, take what I say as a grain of salt. But I do know enough people where they have been so lost in gaming, have gone so deep so far and pushed off other important things in their life that it's messed them up. They've had divorces as a result of it. I've seen some of them lose their entire careers, lose their homes. I knew a guy that was homeless for a while because he couldn't stop playing. At the time, I think it was Lord of the Rings Online. And this isn't just an MMO thing, but those are the examples I know mostly because those are the people I deal with. But it happens. And I also happen to have a sister who is a professional therapist who deals with this exact condition, if that's the word for it, with some very real people. And her experience is that it is a very real compulsion for some people, like gambling would be for some, like, I don't know, sex is for someone else, like, various kinds of things that are otherwise recreational, healthy stuff. Like somebody who drinks socially, they know they can go out on a Friday night with their friends, have a couple of drinks, and they're good. They don't even drink for another 3 months. But then there's those who just can't stop. So,
I think it's come up before on your Therapy Thursdays on the morning stream, and
yeah,
I don't know if you're still doing the therapy show. Wasn't there one of the episodes where you went deep on that? Maybe
I think we did. I think we had a whole episode on that.
Yeah, so you've actually brought up the subject a lot with Wendy,
Mm-hmm.
And anyone out there listening who's interested in more should listen to that because Scott and Brian's conversations with Wendy are pretty great. But I'm inclined to agree with you for sure.
Don't you feel
I
like
think it's not drugs,
Yeah.
and it's not like gambling sort of deal of like, let me get ahead, I'll get even just with this one last bet. But there's certainly, no one's ever saying digging ditches. Anyone's ever addicted to like avoiding their life problems and responsibilities because they want to dig ditches unless they have like massive OCD about digging ditches.
Right.
But there's something to things that give us pleasure as humans. And I think games, especially video games, the lights that go into our eyes and stuff like that do trigger like pleasure centers in us that are a little stronger than as gamers were used to being defensive because people are just usually being ignoramuses about us being nerds or something like that. But there is something to our brains being rewired because of the pleasure we get from accomplishing goals in games specifically, or thirsting for that kill sound. Just like, I need to hear that sound again.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely something to it.
That's kind of proven, actually. So the dopamine centers in your brain are absolutely triggered by such things in the same way that they would be if you're a 12-year-old kid and you see fireworks for the first time. You're going to be stimulated in a way that you haven't been in a long time, and it triggers a bunch of like, ooh, wow, I can't believe that. I want to see some more. Some people are scared by it. Same thing happens with games. But no, I didn't mean to interrupt, but you're absolutely right. Like, this is something that's fun to do, that we like to do, but you spending too much time in, I don't know, I can't think of a game right now. John,
Overwatch. I mean, remember I played 30 hours straight of Overwatch in beta? That was definitely, I don't know that I have a life impairment. I still feed myself, clothe myself, but I could easily imagine that going into a destructive territory, given that I played 30 hours. It's stupid.
Right.
It's a dumb thing to do.
Yeah. No, and so, John, what's your take on all this?
I mean, I think a lot of people are going to hear this and they're going to immediately make it into something that it isn't. I mean, we have different terms that we assign to things like gambling addiction, alcoholism, sex addiction. A lot of these things that get their own separate term, even if they ultimately fall into the bucket of addiction of some kind. And they do that because there are, subtle differences. There's different ways that might manifest. There's different signifiers that indicate, this is how we can identify this for a person, and that's all very important to the medical field, and that's all very specific, and that's typically why you see things like this get put out, so there isn't just a blanket addiction that's supposed to cover everything, because that can be so many things. Like, you want to define it down and get specific, and I think you can do that with a lot of things, like what you guys were saying, that you know are an escape or give you pleasure or are a hobby. Like, a lot of these things can manifest in that way. And so I think this is a very natural thing for this to go to. I think there are people, we've heard stories of people that just wouldn't stop playing video games to the point where they died in an internet cafe, or at home they just weren't taking care of themselves to the point where they literally died playing video games.
Right.
And I think a lot of people's knee-jerk reaction when they hear this is, they're coming after us. And they're really not. They're really just trying to say, hey, look, there are people out there that will destroy themselves because of a medical condition. And I think it's important, as we talk about this, as we go forward, to put in the context that the thing we're talking about is a definition of a trait inside people. It's not a company coming out there and going, we got to take games away from people. It could theoretically lead to stuff like that, but that's not what we're looking at right now.
Right.
And I think it's important with any of this to remember empathy.
Yeah.
We're not talking about you, probably. Odds are pretty good you would know if you're suffering from this, because you would probably be suffering from this. You'd be at risk of losing your job. You would be in a serious failure state of health. You would be feeling like all I can ever do is game and I can't get away from it. Odds are you'd be feeling it. And for those of us that don't feel that way, that aren't in that boat, I think it's important to understand that we don't know what it feels like. The most people don't understand what it's like to know you shouldn't be doing something, know that it's hurting you, and still have to do it.
Yeah.
Most of us don't understand that. And it's so important that you say, you know what? I don't feel things the way everybody else does. And it's super important that I at least understand there are other perspectives, and show empathy for those people, because that's not an easy thing to live with.
Yeah.
And why are we going to judge people for that?
I'm really glad you brought that up. I think that's a key component here, that if we want to have this great hobby and industry and thing that we love so much, we want it to stay healthy and strong and keep growing, we need to approach it maturely. And that's a great perspective to approach from. That side of the issue is an important one. It's maybe the most important, actually. But also, I think the industry and players have a responsibility. If we don't want to get regulated to death by people who don't necessarily have our best interests in mind, we have to be proactive with this. In the 90s, it was video games getting kind of violent, and it was the industry claiming, well, there's no correlation between that and actual violence, but we also understand parents want to have better tools to make choices for their kids. And so they came up with a self-applied rating system. And it happened in various regions around the world, and it stopped the flood of governmental regulation of video games. Not in every territory. There's always outliers. But for the most part, that worked. And it was not only a responsible thing to do, but the right thing to do. And it did exactly what it was designed to do, and does to this day. I don't know that there's a thing that's as easy to implement as that was then for what we're talking about today, but we have to think about that. Like, that's what we have to work toward. And some of that means freaking the industry needs to scale back on, what they think free to play means and what loot boxes mean, and like all that other stuff rolls into this in a way that it hasn't before. Because when we were all playing Mortal Kombat, you were maybe worried Junior was playing it a little too long, but you weren't worried that he was spending too much money on a bunch of loot boxes for skins. But you do now, so it's different now. So we just need to be that level of responsible in the context of now.
And the industry is not doing itself any favors with the frequent articles, at least this year for the most part, starting to air out crunch or the realities of game development, not looking like the most responsible of industries to begin with. So a lot of these things sort of mix together, and you can imagine that. I don't think if you're at a gaming company, you're thinking about, what about the mental health of our customers? Like, that's probably the last thing I have to imagine anyone in any game company is worrying about when they're issuing their products. And unfortunately, I think when people are spending lots of money, getting used to spending lots of money, I always get heartbroken when I hear stories about people who've overspent on like Hearthstone cards or any cards from any game. And I'm like, they didn't need to do that. And it's like, hands up, that was their choice. It's their money. But like, someone who was weak to that compulsion, blowing their kids' college, if they blew 10 grand to be a whale in some game that they could have just put somewhere for someone's college education in the future, like, and you just say, well, that's the guy's fault. But you're making a product that makes it enticing, and not just enticing, like, hey, check out the good deal, but like mind-alteringly enticing for you to do that you feel a weakness. Then our communities, and this is me as a Canadian, so the culture may not go, but I assume this of Americans too, for the most part, is that because we live in a community, we're here to look out for each other. Mm-hmm. So when smoking inside buildings started to be banned here, I don't know how many states you guys have it banned here. Is it all of them now?
That's all of them now.
Can't smoke in buildings,
right? And
there was an uproar.
Oh yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's for the good of everyone's health. You're poison yourself all you want, but you're harming other people. And at some level, you can find it inconvenient and hate it. But we are in a community for a reason. And part of that is to help look out for one another, or else what's the point of even living in a country together or living as a community together? And I think there are problems with gaming in terms of how much time they ask people to spend. The most depressing story was that guy we've ever done was that guy in WoW who got all the achievements.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why would you even let somebody spend that much time in your game, Blizzard developers? Like, it's incredibly irresponsible, I think. And so I'm like, I'm all for this. I don't think anybody in the gaming industry is really considering how they're harming people with the cool stuff they're making, because we already have an uphill battle to fight, just having the history of being geeks and nerds and their cultures.
Well, I'll give some credit to Nintendo in this particular case, even though it may not. I don't know if it actually has an effect. We don't have data to suggest it does or doesn't, so I can't really make a judgment call. But Nintendo is constantly telling people, you've been playing for 2 hours, put your controllers down, go outside, take a walk. Like, they do that all the time in their games. Like, since the Wii and forward, maybe even before that, I don't know. But especially from the Wii forward, there was a lot of sort of, hey, you've been here for a while. There'd be like a loading screen to say, maybe time to just put the controllers down and go do something and come on back. The game will still be here kind of language. Yeah. And whether or not that's impactful, again, I don't have the data. I have a feeling it is a little, though. At the very least, it was enough for kids to go, it's telling me to go do something. Hey, that's a good idea, Junior. Get your ass out. Like, I'm sure that some of that worked for some people. For a lot of us, if we're playing, I don't know, playing some Zelda game and I don't want to get out, well, I'm probably not going to get out. But we're not even so much talking about adults. A lot of adults play video games, and certainly a lot of adults have perhaps compulsive behavior toward gaming. But we're also, we're kind of worried about the kids. We want them to be raised to be responsible gamers, and some of that means, being smart about their time and not spending it all in a game and doing other things and having a more rounded life and all that. And so I'm all for ways of doing that. What I don't want is a bunch of governments to try to regulate that. I would like it to come from within. If it can't, fine. But if we can figure out a way to do it without all the bureaucracy and the red tape and the misunderstanding, and 75-year-olds who've never picked up a controller in their lives determining how game legislation could go. We don't want that. We want something better, and like the what's the name of the crap, the rating system, the
ESRB.
ESRB, thank you.
Yep.
I want that kind of action, because looking back on that was a huge move. It was huge, and it altered the trajectory of this business in a very positive way that we're all benefiting from in the most ridiculous golden age of gaming that's ever been. And I think we wouldn't have gotten there, not entirely, had that gone a different direction. So if we can figure out a way to just from the inside out, kind of like tracking in the new Oculus VR Quest headset, inside out tracking, have it come from within.
Well, I think that's why it's so important that we look at what this is and what this isn't, and understand that this is a classification of a form of addiction, and understand that this isn't the government saying anybody who plays video games has this sucker right here. That's why it's important to understand what they're defining it as, what they view it as, and that this is, at this stage, this is information. What we do with that information is what shapes the future. If we're responsible with it, if we do the right thing, then yeah, we as parents can make informed decisions for our kids. We can make sure that if we see signs of this as a thing, that is as a disease, and accept that, this is a disorder that they could have, and we see it manifesting, and we say, you know what? Video games aren't for my kid. As much as that might kill me as a gamer to be like, oh, I can't share this hobby with my kid.
Yeah.
Guess what? That's part of being a responsible adult, is finding out what your kid's like and not being like, but I want him to be a little me. He's got to do all the things that I want to do. If you see these manifest, it's important to understand what your kid's strengths and weaknesses are and adapt to that. And so this classification, there's going to be so many people going, the government thinks we're all addicted to video games. And it's 100% not that. They're simply saying it is a thing that exists. And now it's time for us to take that information and use it responsibly. So start with the people listening to this, take that information and use it responsibly.
I 100% agree. Very well said.
Because it's defined in there, I think that probably actually opens doorways to study it further, and then maybe determine it's less of a thing that we know. Like, I assume this is more about scientific pursuits and less about an agenda.
I hope so. The World Health Organization generally doesn't. Someone's going to call me out on this for something I don't know about, and that's okay if they do. But they're generally not known for having a huge political bent. It's more about trying to figure out where money, resources, and stuff should be spent on disease and other issues. This is certainly an issue, so it's definitely worth discussing. I will tell you a lesson I learned once before we move on, and this was an important lesson in this very context, and it also had to do with my sister, weirdly enough. But as I was having little kids, and then my sister was having little kids, I was all about, all right, as soon as they can, they're going to be they're holding this controller. We're playing Mario 64 together. We're like, we're going to go to town, and my kids and I are going to have this great gaming family relationship our whole lives. And we have done that. Like, that's kind of our family. And my sister, on the other hand, especially with her oldest, was very, very picky about whether he got to play games and when. And at home, he was basically just banned from it. Once in a while, if he was at a friend's house, it's like, all right, you can play for half an hour, but that's all. Like, really stringent. And I couldn't figure out why, because Wendy's as open-minded as I am about most things, and, we're mature adults and all that, but it didn't really click to me that he might need something special versus other kids. So one time, I invite him. He's probably at that time 10. I invite him over to the house so that me, him, and Nick can have, like, father, son, and nephew video game night. We're getting pizza. When this is all over with, we're going to go watch like The Incredibles or something. Like, going to be just a party on the weekend, and all the ladies have gone somewhere, and we're stoked about this. So he comes over to the house. I get the pizza going. We're playing NBA Jam on PlayStation 3. It was that good version of NBA Jam that was kind of moderned up. There weren't many, but there's one that was pretty good. Anyway, we're playing this game, and I notice as we're playing, whether he's losing or winning, my nephew is shaking and turning bright red, and he starts making this sound where he'll go, and he doesn't know he's making it. So he would just be going, and then just getting all shaky and hot, like to the point of almost like passing out, just sweat pouring down. And the game's not that intense, but he has a specific kind of sort of visceral reaction to competition, to intense light and sound, like all of that stuff. And it hit me. I go, oh, that's my sister parenting for a unique child and his needs. Mm-hmm. And that's how it has to be. And because everybody's going to be unique and interesting and different, we don't want broad decisions made for everybody. We need to come up with a way to make it so ultimately parents have the most control and the most decision making. And so that even though you're going to have outliers who are bad at this, the large portion of people can make good, informed, smart decisions. And our kids still going to cheat around the edges and, ooh, mom says don't get Grand Theft Auto. I wonder why. Let's go get it and see what it's like over at Billy's house where nobody cares. Like, that stuff happens. Right. I get it. But I'm just saying overall we got to have a plan. I don't know what the plan is, but it can't be everything fits all, not everybody wears the same shoe. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Anyway. No, it doesn't make sense. I was subject to the 1 hour a weekday or week and 1 hour on the weekend.
Right.
Rule.
Right.
But I didn't have those reactions. My parents just didn't trust video.
They were just more stringent, didn't trust you. Exactly.
They just thought it would rot in my brain.
So yeah, it's funny now as they're all playing that kid's.
And it didn't help my cause because on my birthday I invited friends over and we stayed up playing like Altered Beast and Final Fantasy 3 and stuff like that.
Sure.
And we ended up staying up all night. My friends went home.
Yeah.
And I was a monster. I told everybody off. And they're like, "You're tired." I'm like, "I'm not tired. You guys are beep. Oh my god, I got my ass kicked.
I want to see you freaking out like that. That would be fun for me for some reason. But with all your
hair.
I mean,
I was a child. Like, I think maybe I was like 10 or 11, like that age.
Yeah.
And I was all like, I can handle staying up all night playing video games. Little did I know my future would involve such things. But
well. Yeah.
But, children, I'm stubborn. We're come from a stubborn line. So,
well, in this same, I should
all
say.
All that to say, didn't help my cause.
And I should say this kid who's now 5 years older, he's 15 now, going on 16, plays Overwatch, plays Fortnite, plays all the fun stuff his friends are into because he's matured now. He's gotten to a place where he can handle it. And it was because of careful consideration by his mom and his dad, and they worked through it. And it's not that they didn't want him to enjoy himself or have this fun side thing. It's that they didn't want it to become this hot poker of death in his life. Whichever way it was going. For him, it may have just been it made him neurotic. Or for other kids, it's they get addicted. Or for other kids, it's whatever. But, they took care, and that's important. And I had not given her the credit for that, and I kind of was bummed about it for a long time. I've since told her about this because I felt bad about it. But, that's also part of this. We got to get over ourselves a little bit in gaming and realize
you shut it down before it became a problem.
Sure. I mean, I learned that night. I went, oh,
yeah,
this is it. This is why. Shit. Yeah. Okay, everyone off NBA Jam, pizza and movie.
I mean, not everyone. That was a good decision to make. Not, it wasn't video games, but my dad's seen me shake and convulse plenty and said, "Good for him."
Yeah,
and that's how you get stronger. He's like, "Oh, your son is eating caca off the field. It's good. It'll make his stomach stronger." Like that's. Yeah. It's good that you're like. It's good that who you are and you made a good. Feel good about yourself.
You weren't really out in the field eating horse poo though, or anything, right?
No, but like when I was learning to shoot a gun and the kick like basically destroyed my shoulder and I was like 10 or something like that and I started crying and he's like, "Hey, stop crying. It'll toughen you up," and made me shoot it again.
Wow.
Yeah.
How's your shoulder now? You
don't become tough by coddling a crier. And I don't agree with that. That's just I had that in my upbringing.
That was his
so
thing.
Sometimes when you talk about your children and how you treat them, I am super freaking jealous. That's all. I'm just like, man, you're a good dad.
Yeah, but you turned out okay because you saw,
I'm not okay. I'm just okay when I'm live on the podcast.
That's funny.
I mean, that's why I'm so on board with this addiction stuff because I do play a lot of games. I was up till 3 a.m. Monday and Tuesday night, and up at 7. I'm not dysfunctional.
No.
It's definitely not a wise choice. And
what were you playing, by the way, just for context? What were you playing those
Path
days?
of Exile.
Path of Exile. We're back into that, are we?
ARPGs. There, like I said, there are games. I have games on my list that I do not play because of my inability to self-control.
Wow.
Literally, Apex was one of them. Like I stopped because of that reason. So
I actually
I have
games that are that way for me. They're weird games too. You'd be shocked to know what was on those lists.
Those Japanese literature
No,
games.
it's a mobile. It's a mobile game.
What is it?
A mobile
Shut
game.
Up. What?
Mm-hmm.
Now this explains
The truth is revealed.
Yeah, this is
Today.
intense. Okay.
I knew if I said that, I'd have you guys with the hook.
Yeah.
I occasionally will have bouts of depression.
Yeah.
It's something that hits me.
Sure.
And one of the bad traits that comes out of me when I'm, feeling depressed is that I have a tendency to be suddenly money holds no value to me, and I will become a big spender, attempt to buy your way out of depression, I guess.
Yeah.
And as a result, anything that offers little, quick, easy microtransactions becomes very dangerous for me if I get in that state, because it's a fast way for me to spend money without seeing any consequence.
Yeah.
And so a while back, there was a Spider-Man Endless Runner game.
I remember
on
this game.
mobile.
Yep.
And I was hooked on it, and it's one of those really like mobile games where they try to get every single penny out of you. It's like, yeah, you got the costume you wanted, but it's hot garbage. But if you maybe threw a bunch of money our way, it might not be such hot garbage anymore. And so I got hit by a big bout of depression when I was playing that game, and I spent a ridiculous amount of money in that game. And actually, Star Wars The Old Republic is another one. I really love that game, but their free-to-play model and the way they monetize that for free-to-play is incredibly insidious and easy to throw a bunch of money at in an effort to try to get things you want. And so that's another game that I had to put on my can't play list.
Man, I would have never guessed they were mobile games. That totally surprises me.
Don't play Path of Exile. There's an armor cosmetic set that's like $480 US.
Oh my gosh, dude. F that. All right, so I did a little check on that Spider-Man Unlimited Endless Runner mobile game that you were playing. It has now, as of March 2019, so just a couple of months ago, has shut down.
Oh,
never going to be a monkey in your cage again, man.
They killed it. Don't have to worry about it.
Yep.
I already not allowed to download it,
Yeah.
so self control there. But yeah,
I
think Brian Ibbett was playing that for a while because I remember he and I talked about.
Oh, he was way into it. Well, he's into any Marvel thing that ever happens, but yeah, he was super into it. I mean, if you really want to ruin Brian Ibbett's life, here's what you do: you take the Pokemon Go model, but you put Marvel shit in it.
Oh, that would get me too, 100%.
It's the last I'd see of you or him. Like, you guys would just be out in the streets. Wait a minute.
Catching Thor and Hulk.
Yep.
Or whatever it is. I don't know what you do.
Throwing balls at Thor. I gotta get him.
I gotta get him. He's so wily, that Thor.
That Thor, he's hard to get.
I do this with occasionally it's MMOs for me, but a lot of times it's just a simple roguelike, and I will lose myself. And it's you know what? It's funny, John, because that's when I'm having like a bout of just down. That's when I dive in there. Now I'm not. Yeah. It's not so much for microtransactions, but it's for this. I need the loop, because the loop is do the thing, do the thing, do the thing, die, do the thing, do the thing, do the thing, die. Like, there's something comforting in the fact that I'm constantly resurrecting the plan every time I do it, and it's funny how that it's also kind of around when things are when I'm grumpy. It's usually, you know what it is? It's right after events. When I'm done with Nerdtacular, when I'm done with Vegas TMS, or when I'm done with BlizzCon, the week after that, that's me. I don't know why. It's not because it's like, oh, I miss everybody. That isn't it. It's some other existential, like, I just feel like shit after. I can't explain it.
But... No, I get it. When my grandmother passed away, and she was a lovely woman, really nice, just an angel, and I was very close with her. I think I spent a week or two. I took bereavement leave off. I took extra time, and I just spent most of that time playing WoW. Honestly, it was like Lich King time, and I just wanted to play World of Warcraft and not feel the pain that I was feeling.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yep. It happens to all of us to different degrees. Nothing wrong with acknowledging it and then talking about ways to deal with it. All right. Let's move back to this big topic here. Oh, do you guys see this Playdate thing?
Yeah, I
Yes.
saw you tweet it.
Yeah.
Looks interesting.
I was actually excited about it until I wasn't.
Oh.
And I'll tell you why.
Is it the
Mhm.
price? Because I think for me, it was the price.
It's a combination of price, but other major problem here. Okay, so the unit itself, chat room, I'm showing you now, or I will be. Hold on, here we go. Okay, it's on screen. This thing is called the Playdate. It is created by it's actually the publishers who published Firewatch, the game Firewatch, which is weird. Especially because the game Firewatch itself, the developers of that game got hired by Microsoft or Oculus or somebody. I forget. And they don't have anything to do with this, but the publisher does. And it's a little handheld gaming device with a D-pad and a B and an A button, very original Game Boy-esque. The screen is a big screen, but it's black and white. And it has this crank on the side. And I thought the crank, I assumed too much too quickly, but I thought the crank was to charge it. Because I love the idea of, hey, not only is this thing kind of have some kind of cool little games on it, and that's kind of fun, but you can also never have to worry about battery life because you just crank it. I love crankable devices that charge your device. I think it's a cool way to do that. It's ecologically sound. It's just a smart way to extend the life of the thing. You don't have to worry about batteries. I just like it. And it turns out that's not what that is. That is just a gameplay mechanic thing. So picture fishing games, picture anything you can imagine where you're kind of pulling something up or dropping it down, like different kinds of control schemes.
There's showcasing a time travel on the site where you can reverse and forward time with the crank.
Right. That's probably a better example than the ones I'm giving. But I guarantee there'll be freaking fishing games in here. I mean, there just will be.
Yeah.
Great.
And not that I have a problem with that. I kind of like fishing games, except in WoW. I hate doing it in WoW. But I like fishing, video games in general. It's okay as long as they're not too serious. I would like a Mario fishing game is what I would like. But anyway, it seemed really neat on the surface, and I thought that's what it did. So for me, it's a combination of that crank doesn't charge it, and it's $149.
Oh, I thought of another thing I don't love about it, but it wasn't I like the crank. I even like that I don't care that it doesn't charge it, but I also, like you, for some reason assumed it charged it.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did.
Yeah.
But
I mean, in my head, it was like, well, why else would you have a crank? I wasn't thinking gameplay at all.
no, I wasn't either. I was like, I don't know, I guess you wind it up and go.
Yeah.
But the other thing I don't love is I had heard that the way they're going to be doing games is that it's just going to be kind of like games come in, games go out sort of deal. And I don't love that. There's a real ethereal quality to that, I guess, but that's kind of neat. But there's a part of me that's just like, well, yeah, but I want to get a game and keep a game. And I'm sure if a game's popular, they'll keep it around on there or something. But I don't know. There's a way they describe and talk about the games that, at least at this stage, sounded like.
I kind of thought they would just release one new game a week. You'd download it to the device and just
keep it. That could be, and it could be my misunderstanding of it.
But it is called Playdate,
work.
and it may be centered around a social experience where everyone's experiencing the same phenomenon, at least as an experiment. But I have to imagine once it's over, you'd get the game, right?
Yeah.
I would hope
I would
so.
think so. I mean, the site, by the way, the site is almost as impressive as the idea. Like, the site's really nice, like all this 3D stuff you can spin around and everything. But, you're not buying a website, you're buying a potential gaming device. I love the idea of this thin, small thing that's just kind of cool and hipster and, reminiscent of Game Boy, but then, a new idea. But I think 149 is too much. I think the sweet spot would have been like 99 or less.
It also looks like some sort of IKEA furniture.
A little bit, yeah. You're not wrong.
I kind of love how it looks, though. There's something
I
just
do
so
too.
simple about it.
Mhm.
I don't know. I dig, but like with that simplicity, I think comes an expectation of low cost. I mean, what was the Game Boy Advance SP? I remember that being like $100.
Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah,
that bad.
but it sounds like you're not paying for games. Like with traditional console, where you're buying the cartridges, the loss
That's a
leader,
good point,
the games
yeah.
are making up for it. In this case, you're actually buying the 12 games and the Playdate device.
That's a good
That's a
point.
good point.
Yeah. I mean,
So
I'm
5
probably
games at, like, say each game is $5. It's
yeah.
$50, $60 in games. So the device is actually $60, just paying for it all up front.
I would probably do this for a business write-off and part of just so we can review it. But as a as a personal choice, I went from this is a no-brainer to the Crank doesn't charge it, and how much money is it?
The Crank doesn't.
I don't know why that was such a big deal to me. It really mattered to me for some
It's a
reason.
controller innovation, though.
But is it?
Isn't it better that it's a
Yeah,
controller
yeah.
innovation?
I mean, it is.
Like,
Why couldn't it
I
be
know
both?
that survivalist Scott's like, I need this for my bunker.
Why couldn't it? Why couldn't it be both? Why couldn't it have been like, hey, you're a little low on battery. Why don't you play this fishing game for the next 2 hours? You'll charge this whole damn thing up just catching fish. Like,
I mean, it's a
Maybe
good
the
idea.
sequel will be called The Crank in Charge. I don't know.
yeah. I mean,
Can you get cranks that small that will power something? Is that even possible?
I think so. I've got a flashlight that does this, or not a flashlight. It's like a little. Well, it's almost like kind of the same size, but like a little stand-up light lantern type thing for camping, and you crank it, and it does that. It's that small. I mean, I don't know how. Actually, I don't know how big this is because I don't see it in anyone's hand yet.
Oh
I thought
yeah,
you
there's
were
a picture
talking
of the
about
hand
those
at the bottom.
Is there one down there?
Shakeable flashlight things.
Oh
that are
yeah,
like-
look at it at the bottom. There it is, holding it.
It's designed to fit like in the palm of your hand, pretty much. You and I probably have big mitts. John, do you have? I can't remember if you have big mitts.
Probably not.
I got
But
big hands. My hands are
It'll
big.
probly fit like in the hand.
Yeah. I have a
and,
big head,
be
big
able to-
hands.
Like it's the kind of thing I can imagine, throwing in the backpack or something and just bringing along with you.
By the
Not that I
way,
do that with any consoles, but I just think it's adorable. I don't. I kind of like it.
now when you know people, I mean, we'll see. This thing's coming out when? We don't even know. We don't have a date yet.
It
Before the end of the
says
year.
early 2020.
Oh, early 2020. Yeah, I'll probably end up with one, but I right now at 149, I'm a little more begrudging than I was hoping to be. But anyway,
Because the initial plan is 12 games, but there's so much more to come. Playdate is live with possibilities of prizes, future games, and new ways to make them. We'll have even more to talk about at launch.
yeah. Also,
So
is it going to bug us that it's monochrome? Maybe not. Maybe.
I don't know. I feel like when you're signing up for the novelty of that device, the monochrome you're also kind of signing up for. I'm a little bummed at no backlit screen. I mean, I know we've come a long way since the days of the GBA and stuff like that, where they didn't have a backlight. But
Yeah.
I mean, I guess for me the big thing is this like sings the praises of Game Boy to me, and it immediately makes me think of my SP, and I think I want a Game Boy Advance SP again. I think is what
That's
where
what
I
we're all
ultimately
wanting.
landed as a human being.
Yeah, in the end, the SP was one of the greatest devices ever made. Like, I'm with you 1,000% on that. Oh, that's interesting.
Like that clamshell one. Like
Oh yeah, the
amazing.
clamshell was amazing. I have the NES clamshell one that looks like an NES, like the stripes and
Mhm.
colors and stuff, and then you have the controller space looks like a controller from. It's one of my favorite things I've ever owned, and I will keep it forever, even though I will probably never play another game on it. But I love that damn thing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It was that and the DS Lite. I remember being like that was another one where I was like, oh my gosh, look at this.
Yeah,
Look at what they did. They took this gray monstrosity of a system and they made it nice. I don't understand.
yeah. Well, we'll see. Again, $99, you'd have me immediately. For some reason, that extra 49 is just putting a poker in my butthole, which I didn't mean to really say either.
Yeah, sure.
Google is shutting down the YouTube gaming app on May 30th. If you were loving that thing, you got like a day tomorrow, and you're done. No more YouTube gaming app. Boy, they really gave that a real shake, didn't they? Like a hot 15 minutes of seeing if their service would work, and then gave up.
I think it was DOA.
Why
remember
did
when
they
the hype around
do this stuff? Why do they?
Because they're a video company and Twitch was eating their lunch. They're like, well, we can do that. We've got gaming Let's Plays on here. Let's just be Twitch. But they didn't do anything.
Yeah,
YouTube gaming was
Yeah.
kind of nothing.
It
Like,
was-
They kind of showed up and went, "We're Twitch now," and we went, "Okay," and they
Yeah.
were like, "We are."
no.
But they
the
called it
thing is,
YouTube gaming. Like half of Twitch is not that it's video game streaming, but that they embrace the stupidity of the internet.
Well,
And
more.
I mean that affectionately.
It's
like,
still sort of a
you know,
recent thing, though. Like that wasn't always true, but yes, you're right. That is the
Kappa
state right now.
Kappa and like dongers and whatever else. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're all about that cultural capital that YouTube doesn't have in the gaming space.
Yeah, it's just it was dumb, and it's dumb now, and now it's shutting down. Well, they're shutting the app down. The site already is sort of deprecated it all, and the truth of the matter was, all they did was brand a couple of pages with the name YouTube Gaming, but it was just YouTube streaming, which already existed and still does. So you can set OBS up to just like we're doing right now to Twitch. You could just do that to YouTube Gaming, or to YouTube rather, and none's the wiser.
The problem with, again, still streaming on it, unless you have like a dedicated way to let the people who watch it know, or you're a really big event, no one will discover you.
Right.
Like,
Plus,
you're undiscoverable.
Plus, you don't have any of the tools that everybody was just starting to embrace on Twitch, like bits and subs and, all that stuff. They didn't have any of that. It was just, hey, we also stream. What if we put a gaming word on here? Would that entice you to come on? I mean, that's basically all they did.
Yeah, exactly.
And it annoys me to no end. I hate that.
And like the pre-recorded video stuff is already working. It doesn't need help. People make channels. They put their video game content on there.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
And so the few people that did, it's because they paid them to do it. And as soon as they stopped paying them to do it, they went back to Twitch because Twitch is where the audience is. And as much as I like to see,
partnership program,
right? Exactly, that's a big deal. The tools they give you are a big deal. I am all for competition in all spaces. I think it makes everybody better. But it's a stiff place to try to launch something. I think Mixer is a really cool service, but they don't have the audience, so it doesn't matter kind of how good your service is, unless there's a giant reason that you just have to leave Twitch to go somewhere else. I don't know why people would do it.
Caffeine? How's Caffeine doing?
Caffeine is also cool. Like, it's a cool service. It's very fast. There's a lot of neat features to it. Kanata's doing his thing over there.
That's Kanata. The Dungeon Run's the only thing that I've checked out on Caffeine.
Same. And it's because that, and I think they're having. I mean, I don't want to speak out of turn because I may be up the creek on this, but I'm pretty sure they're getting more views on YouTube when they post the archive and more listens on an audio podcast for that thing than they are anything they're doing live on Caffeine. I mean, this is Caffeine. Caffeine's they're paying for this. Like, this is them. This is their production, and they're doing it to get people to go over to Caffeine. Totally reasonable thing to do. I think it's great. It's just, that's a really hard thing to do. Just like it would be for anybody to make a YouTube-like service. Well, if you're going to make if you're going to make a site that competes with YouTube, even, it's impossible.
Yeah,
Once
in the internet, the incumbent is where everyone is, and it's very hard to dethrone them. Epic Games trying to do it to Steam, and YouTube's been trying to do it to Twitch in the gaming space. Tried dethroning Amazon.
It's really hard. Like Facebook, it's just so funny because like Google's the only company who maybe sometimes Apple, but Google usually is the only company who's like, hey, we have everything that Facebook does. We'll just make Google Plus. Everyone will come do that. Nobody did. Now they're shutting it down. Oh, we'll do Google Buzz. That's like Twitter. That's better than Twitter, though. Let's do Buzz. Nobody came. They shut it down. Like, it's hard to play with the thing.
They do have the one thing that is important to Google, which is Googling things.
Yeah.
Right. So again, try and forklift the incumbent Google out of search engine technology. So that's why I'm always trepidatious when some company that's good at one thing goes into try and do another thing, i.e. Epic Store. And Epic is great at making their game engine. I don't think they're going to be a game store company. This is a dalliance for them.
Yeah, I agree. Someone in the chat was saying, what about TikTok? It's not even in the same category, but it's an interesting argument. Like, Vine owned short form video. Then Vine shut themselves down because Twitter bought it and they decided they didn't want to do it anymore. That shuts down, and now there's a void. TikTok appears to be the app that has now filled that void for the most part, and they're doing really well. There are more, I guess apparently now worldwide, it's the most downloaded app of any app ever, including Facebook, which is crazy. But that's the point, is if there's a hole to fill, great, go fill it. But Steam hasn't left a hole yet. So it's a taller order for Epic to come in there, and they got to do crazy stuff to try to do it, and they still don't have any of the features they need. boy, this is.
I mean, when you think about the origins of Gmail, like they launched on April Fool's Day,
hmm
and people thought it was fake because of the amount of space they were offering for free,
Right.
for free sign up. And at the time, it seemed ridiculous. It was like, what? You're giving us how much space for free? No way. And then people are like, it's not a joke. It's real. You can go get one. And they were kind of new to the party when it came to email. And now everybody seems to have a Gmail account because they went so far above and beyond what existed that people just gravitated towards it. But it feels like for a lot of these other efforts that they did, it was just like, well, they'll use our platform for it. Why? Because they have a Gmail account. Well, what does that do for them? That means they could use our platform.
Yeah.
That's not going to work. You have to offer something that's above and beyond the service if you're going to unseat whoever's sitting on top, or you have to go to kind of some underhanded tactics like what Epic's trying with Steam of trying to get all these exclusives and stuff like that. You have to have something to pull people away.
You have to go well beyond as well. Like Gmail was well beyond what was being offered then.
Yes.
Chrome is another good example of success for them. Although right now they're being challenged on different fronts, but Chrome came along at a time where everybody else was slacking hard on browsers. Like they were all sitting around on older tech, bad ideas, not innovating, just sort of status quo. And they came along and said, well, we have a faster, better, easier integrated browser idea, and we're going to go for it. And they killed everybody because it was basically a void and nobody was prepared for it. Gmail, same thing. When it came to Google Plus, they had a chance. They just needed to do so much more than they did, and maybe nobody knows what that is because it's kind of hard to define. You know, why would anybody go there instead of where they're all established over at Facebook? But maybe today it would have been different if they launched that this week. Maybe people a little more down on Facebook these days. Maybe that would have gotten more traction. But it's also contributed to this feeling that Google never sticks to anything, which brings me back around to the worries people have about Stadia and whether or not they'll follow through. So I really hope they do, but they have a history of going, it didn't work. We'll just do something else. Buy Newsfeed, buy Buzz, buy Google Plus, buy everything that we thought was cool and isn't now.
The RSS reader, man, they used to like that.
No, it was great. It was great. Newsreader was great.
I love that service.
And they just did it recently with that app called Inbox, which was a way better email solution, that it was under their own roof, that they built out and spent years testing and building and making great on mobile and desktop, and then just said, we're taking it out. We're just going to have these features in Gmail. But they don't really. Like, it's weird. They're so weird about this stuff. I don't know. There's a lot of things I love about Google. I use their services all the time. Even look at their granddaddy product, the thing that started it all. The reason that search engine worked and beat Yahoo and everybody else who existed is they all got lazy and they came in and destroyed them with features and reliability and speed and all that other stuff.
And user experience. My
Right.
God, it's clean. Google's still clean after all this time.
Right. So if they want to do that with Stadia, they're going to have to really show us that they're into it for the long haul, or else I'm nervous about it.
Nobody wants to visit a tabloid as their launch page for search.
Nope.
Yeah.
MSN and freaking Yahoo is look like a tabloid
Yeah.
page.
It's like,
And then you see other people like Microsoft. Hey, you guys want to Bing something? Well, what are you bringing to the table?
apparently,
we'll show you porn.
yeah, porn is the thing.
Okay, Bing. I know what I'll use you for, but until then, I'll just Google it. Thanks.
Yeah.
Do they really think Bing would catch on?
I mean, Bing, it's still there. It's still it's the second.
Is it people, in their wettest of dreams in the boardroom, they're like, well, if Google can make Google things, why don't people Bing things? And Binging will be the word. I'm going to Bing that.
They watch Groundhog Day, and they were just like, people are going to do the Groundhog Day with it. They're going to search, and then they're going to go Bing, just like that guy in the movie.
Yeah. No, I mean, the thing with Bing is, I think, yes, they did think they could do it. And if anyone could, Microsoft could challenge it. But and it's still the second largest search engine. So, I mean, they did jump from 0 to second place and stayed there. But you're right.
Bing bots. Bing bots. I don't know, man. I don't use it on principle. It's called Bing, and I hate the sound that it makes.
You don't like the
that's
sound
only
of
reason I
Bing?
don't use it.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
It's the dumbest last name of a character in Friends.
You guys, I have something funny to tell you. I just found out what my previous searches are in Bing from some time ago. I haven't used Bing in it's been years. So this is some old ass cookie.
You haven't Binged anything in years?
Yeah. Guess what I searched for? Something called Scrowhawk. What is a Scrowhawk? Do I even want to know?
That's a hawk with a scrotum on its head.
I got a theory, but I don't. Google it again. It's time.
I'm looking
now.
I'm sorry,
Bing it again.
Let me turn off Bing's safe search just in case it was something weird. Yeah, it just shows me some old guy named Scrowhawk and Schwach clothing line, but not Scrowhawk. I don't know what it is. I don't know what I was searching for.
That's wild.
That's funny, dude. All right.
So good.
I'm gonna write that down. It'll be an NPC name soon.
All right. Oh, Timothy Oliphant. This is funny. Glad Bo put this in here. You guys remember he's great, like in everything. He's Justified and Deadwood and all that. I even liked him in that Die Hard movie. He was the bad guy in that kind of horrible fifth Die Hard movie. But
he was in Scream 2. He was one of the killers.
That's right. Oh, spoilers. Jeez Louises.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, he did the Hitman movie because he said he had the bills to pay. So if anyone was out there going, oh, that Hitman movie was so cool with him in it, he does not think it was good. And he said he just had to pay some bills.
No, I got to read literally what he said because this is what got me. All right. He's like, yeah, Deadwood's canceled. I got to pay for my house. Yeah, I'll do Die Hard. That's great. And they're like, do you want to do this video game adaptation? He's like, do you listen to what I'm saying? I have to make money. Sign me up for whatever. And then it goes on to say that he said working on those movies gave him a valuable experience, perhaps more than the projects he actually cares about. Referring to Hitman, he says, you'll find yourself bald in Bulgaria doing some pile of shit that will end up a little early, and you have to get up a little earlier in the morning and you work a little harder as a result of never having to do that pile of shit again, basically.
Yeah.
And that made me laugh so hard. Just that he called it, man, a pile of shit.
Yep. Yep. And he didn't go back to do the sequel in 2015, Hitman Agent 47, which was also really bad.
Yeah.
That's a great little anecdote.
Chat room says he was in Santa Clarita Diet. That show is fantastic.
Yeah.
Unfortunately canceled.
Yeah, that got canceled.
I love that show.
Yeah, it was
great.
Show
Canceled
was
by
so
Cancel
good.
Flix?
Yeah, Cancel Flix canceled it. It just wasn't getting the views, but I like him pretty much universally. I'm stoked for this Deadwood movie in a day or two. Or when is it? This weekend? I think it's this weekend. Or is it?
What, Deadwood's coming out this weekend?
I think
the movie.
The Deadwood
They're
movie.
doing the Deadwood movie.
Yeah.
Wait, it's releasing?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not in theaters, like HBO, like an original film.
Yeah, it's soon though. Like it's that soon.
Like this weekend, and he's back playing Seth Bullock, and everybody's.
Oh my god, I have to watch.
I
that.
know. I just a little P came out just now while I'm sitting
Is it
here.
Ian McShane or
Yes.
just Ian Shane?
It's me,
Yeah, Ian McShane.
McShane.
Do you have the McShane in stock? Because I know it's seasonal, and I just was hoping I could get it.
So him as Al Swearingen is like the greatest thing ever put to motion picture, like to film, to moving video.
Yeah. No, you're right.
And I love swearing.
Yeah.
The more swearing in the movie, the higher rated I will give it.
Yeah.
Put as much of it as you want, and basically, like, he's the swear machine.
He is, and his name is literally Swearingen, which is also amazing. That you can swear that much.
And they had him doing like Shakespeare level monologues. If you haven't seen Deadwood,
it's incredible.
It's like Shakespeare level monologues, but it's in the West and it's full of C word suckers and like just the most like gross like ideas.
Yeah.
Like it's just but it's a poetry. It's perfect. It's
glorious. There's all these great old stories about how when they started, they were going to use the swears of the time of the era. And the pilot and stuff came back, and some of their test footage came back sounding like Yosemite Sam, and they didn't like it.
Oh, what was the term? I heard this, like dunderheads.
Yeah,
you're a bunch of dunderheads and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was all very 1800s, and it just came off as silly and stupid, and nobody could take it seriously. So they said, you know what, just talk like we would now, but really just awful. And that's what they decided to do. Now, here's the thing. I got to find this line. It does not contain a big swear. Okay, hold
It'd
on.
be pity not to recognize what's at stake.
All right, that's Sir Seth Bullock.
To go ahead and die stupid.
Okay. Okay, here he goes. No, that's not it. Let me skip ahead.
Murdering, thieving, cocksucker.
Oh, shit. All right. I gotta-
Well done, Scott. You really avoided all the.
I'm going to go fix that.
cursing.
I'm going to fix
Although
that.
it says a lot that the first thing in a random clip is that word. I think he says that word the most in all of Deadwood.
You're not
In
wrong.
fact,
That's the thing is like Deadwood is a serious drama, but it skirts the edge of being a comedy
Yeah.
so much. I mean, there's literally scenes where he is talking to Wu with stick figure drawings of people on it going, so this sea sucker here shot this sea sucker here. That's what you're saying. And Wu's like, yes.
Yeah.
And it's just,
Oh
it's
man, him and
amazing.
Wu are
It's
so great.
unbelievable.
They
Oh
were
my
pretty
God.
great. Swedgen. But listen, there's this part where he gets he gets really Shakespearean here. So hold on, I just want to find this. Okay, hold on. All right, that's a cool song.
Walk with the future.
Okay, hold on.
Hearst won't take long before he honors the rigors of his putrid fucking nature.
Oh, listen to that. I gotta beep that out too. But
It's like poetry. It's like there's swear. Scott's got a lot of work. To do.
he's like, it won't be long before the rigors of his. How does he say it? Until he's true to the rigors of his something effing nature. Like he's just
Putrid
effing nature. He's just so. He's like
It's
a
just-
poet and doesn't know it.
He's got a huge diction and vocabulary laced with all the swears that make you go like, "Oh, we stopped saying that a while ago."
Dude, that's this weekend, man. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Oh, it is this weekend. That's
Yeah.
a reason to be excited.
Well, here's a reason not to be. If you play Apex Legends, you're sad because revenue tumbled 74% in 2 months. Ouch.
Well, you guys, you stop giving them your money. We know it's a free to play game, but
Here's the problem. All your skins look the same. So I'm just saying.
No, it's
Downtown.
100% true. Like from the get-go, my biggest criticism of Apex was, man, the skins in this game kind of suck. They do. They're bad. And then they added some new ones, and I was like, well, they continue to suck.
Yeah,
So,
they're just tints. They're tints. They're not true skins, or at least, I mean, whatever. We're spoiled by, Overwatch killed it and just changed the whole game for shooters in terms of what players expect to pay for or want. And then I would say that, Fortnite just does this better. Their skins are cooler.
Fortnite's going full what do they call that? Just product placement.
Oh yeah, they got Nike.
You can literally,
shoes
oh,
and-
it's the John Wick skin. I saw something today. Michael Jordan's now a skin.
Sure, why not?
Like, I remember the days in PlanetSide when they partnered with, I think, Massive, when they were trying to put ads on some of the bases
oh,
to
yeah.
help generate revenue as we go free to play, and there was a revolt.
Yeah.
And now you're playing Fortnite with product placement in from mainstream garbage.
Yeah.
Shame on you for giving Epic your money.
Well,
Now, I will say this. It took Fortnite a while. I remember the early season skins in Fortnite, and it was like, do you want to be a military dude or a different military dude or maybe a military lady? We got you covered as long as you want to be vaguely military and a person. But they've gotten a lot better over time,
Yeah.
and they've gotten to a good place. And my hope is that Apex Legends will do the same. I do respect that in this world where we talk about crunch and developers not killing their employees and all of that, I respect that they seem to be, standing on their laurels to some degree and saying, we know it's going slow, we'll be there, we'll get you, but we're not gonna kill ourselves to do it. I think that's fine. I think that's respectable, but it does mean you're going to see a lot of news stories about, hey, their revenue tumbled by 74% in 2 months, and that's a rough pill to swallow. So
yeah.
my heart goes out to people playing Apex. It's been slow and steady, but I still think that game is great, and I think it can be great, and I think it'll get there. But, they didn't maybe expect the overnight success quite to the level that they hit.
I think they thought it'd be a slower burn for sure. And they didn't get the burn they thought they were going to get. Now this. Games we're playing this week. I am still playing the hell out of Assassin's Creed Origins, which apparently has inspired another one of us to get back into it. I don't know, but we'll talk about that in a second. I also have been playing Steam World Quest, Hand of Gilgamesh. Yeah, that's right.
Nice. I
Gilgamesh.
see what they did there.
Yeah,
That's
you can see
cool.
what they did there. I talked about this a little bit last week. I now have a Steam version, which I think is still under embargo, so I can't talk about it specifically, but I have it on the Switch as well. I can tell you that thing's great. Combination deck builder, JRPG, turn-based RPG with the sense of humor and fun writing that this SteamWorld games are known for. Great art style. Robots having a fantasy quest is just kind of a riot. It's funny. It's just great. I love it, and I really like the combat system. How they handle these cards. Oh, and by the way, very Slay the Spire. It's got story and got like a campaign and everything, so it's a little bit different in that regard. But the actual gameplay and battles and stuff, straight up Slay the Spire style stuff, and it's great. Great. So coming to Steam, I think next week or June something, I forget. But it's super good, and I'm digging it. And I also picked up the Elder Scrolls Online Elsewhere expansion, which launched early for those who picked it up early, and it is great. I love Elder Scrolls Online. I still say that's my other MMO, and I love the fantasy of it. This is set in like not Kashyyyk. What are they called?
The Khajiit.
The Khajiits. Yeah, the cat people, basically.
Yeah.
They are,
Khajiit.
desert dwelling, living out there like nomads. Everyone's got the great accent. Oh, what are you doing in this part of town? Like, well, come here, cat, and I'll tell you. So they got the whole cat thing going, which is fine. And then these dragon battles are really fun. They're basically open world events where if you're near one, you get your butt over there and you fight with a bunch of other folks and take it down kind of raid style. And they're very dynamic fights. The loot is awesome. That's just one aspect of it. But the story of this expansion content's great. I'm playing a necromancer, doing all kinds of undead shit. That's a brand new class in this expansion. And he's really fun. And I continue to just think that game's great. So more ESO in my life. But really, if I'm putting dollars to minutes, it's mostly Assassin's Creed Origins. I keep saying Origins. Odyssey. I think I'm going to 100% that game. I don't know how. I don't know if it's possible, but I'm going to try.
That's
John?
a lot of game to 100%.
And you know that because you're
big.
playing it again. So what brought you back in?
You not stopping talking about it. I was like, man, you know what? I could go for some Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It was the game that kind of, circumstance ultimately inspired me to get a new computer, but it was one of the first games where I really did like a good hard look at my computer and go, you let me down, son. Like it couldn't really handle the ultra wide monitor and still look good, so it was always a choice of, do I display it on ultra wide or do I let it run better and look better, smaller screen on my monitor. So it was kind of this game that I really loved, but it was also that game that makes you aware that your computer's mortality is on the horizon. So you kind of resent it a little bit too. You're like, you just reminded me my computer's gonna die.
Yeah.
So I was anxious to see how it did on this new machine and got in there. And oh my God, that game is beautiful. It is so amazing.
Yeah.
There are very few games. I've played games that probably ultimately technically look better than it, but the art style, the setting, and the look of it comes together in a way that I just will stop and just stare at the environment and just go, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I started completely over, so it's a new adventure, even though it did still have my old save. And that was good because it allowed me to make a different decision with one of the first big choices that you make in that game, with what you do to the Wolf of Sparta.
Oh, right. Yeah.
What did you do to the Wolf of Sparta, Scott? Did you kill the Wolf of Sparta, or did you allow the Wolf of Sparta to live?
Didn't I have the option? Remind me if I had the option to Spartan kick him off the ledge. Did I?
No, because if you kill him, it's in a cutscene. But then a guy does fight you up there, and you can Spartan kick him off.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. But I let him live. Because I'm terrible at being cutthroaty. I can't do it in games. I'm just not the type who can do it.
Even a game called Assassin's Creed, where
Yes.
you're like, an assassin. No, I'm with you though. That's the decision I made the first playthrough,
Yeah.
and it never sat well with me
Mm.
because when you think about the history there, I'm trying to speak around spoilers.
Yeah.
He did a really messed up thing.
Yeah.
He was
did.
a bad guy,
Mhm.
and I should not have felt guilty for ending him.
Yeah.
And so, but the first time I did, I felt bad for him. I was like, "Oh, he's a little man," and I let him, I let him live.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought there would be a moment where I would get to make the choice again,
Mhm.
and they didn't sell me on killing him initially. And I was like, "Okay, all right, let's talk." And then they never gave me the choice to end him again, and I was like, "No, this guy did a really bad thing. He
Wow.
should be punished for this."
Yeah.
And so this time I got to retcon that and kill him. And I feel super guilty about it. So you know what? It turns out that choice you're going to feel awful about no matter what you do, as it turns out.
Well, I'm really glad to hear you're back in because I'll echo everything you said. It's just beautiful. It's an amazing experience. They have so much stuff that comes together. It always feels great. Cassandra's a giant part of that. Her character is John and I talked this on Slack a little bit, but there's something about her. She's just so well realized and ties it all together and doesn't make you feel like you're just doing tasks for people. It's just a meaningful exchange with her and other NPCs, and they just outdid themselves. It's a really, really incredible game.
There's also, I think, speaking of swearing fluently, one of my favorite side quests I got to do last night, which is where you meet the lady sea captain who had her boat stolen.
Yeah, I did.
I love that lady
Yeah.
so much. She is so sweary. It's the best. You talk to her and she just starts cursing up a storm about her boat being gone.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Are you having a hard time?" And she's like, "What the F do you think? Effing come over here and ask me if I'm having a hard time."
I even have a clip.
Ah, I
I have a
love it.
clip because she cracked me up so bad. Here's a clip of that lady.
Do I look like a fucking fisherman? I sail a ship, not a boat.
Yeah, she's just a pisser, dude.
I love it so much.
Yeah, it's so funny that you picked her out because I did the same thing and was like, I got to capture her talking. She is a cuss bag. Bo would love her. She just won't stop
Yeah.
swearing.
You guys got me curious about Odyssey.
Odyssey's great, dude.
She got invited to be on my ship real quick, even though I know that's the end of my social interactions with her. I was like, "You are invited to be on my boat, sweary captain."
Oh
lady.
yeah,
You
you're
can-"
on my boat, and she wasn't even happy about that. She was like, "Well, I guess I have nothing better to do in this effing place," and like she just going off. She is really great.
Yeah.
It's just a great game. It's fun to talk about a series that's this old that could have just gotten so bummed out in its routine, and they've just reinvented it in such a way with Origins and even more so with Odyssey. It's just in a great place. I hope they can keep it up. The fact that they took an extra year to work on whatever's next, which is reportedly a Viking setting, is super exciting to me. It's just great. So good.
Although I'm gonna miss Cassandra, something fierce.
So that probably
I don't
just
care.
means this probably all means less Final Fantasy and less MK11 for you.
Yeah, I'm winding down on those a little bit. I will definitely be coming back to Final Fantasy 14. I've enjoyed my time, but it got to the point where my free month was up,
Yeah.
and dipping my toes back into Odyssey and knowing that was going to take over my life probably for a little bit.
Yeah.
I was just like, I hit a big landmark in that game, and it ended up being a little disappointing to me. So it kind of killed some of the momentum for me. And so I know I'll come back, and MK11 I still check in on every now and then, but not nearly as much. That'll probably be once the DLC characters start popping out, I'll probably go back to that. But
All right. Well, Bo has spent all his time in what he wrote here is Pat of Sexile.
Yeah, I also wrote in John's that he was playing Kim Kardashian Hollywood. I don't know if you saw that.
I had a discussion on a text this morning. I think it was with him. Hold on, I gotta find this. Autocorrect did the best thing. It said, "This is so dumb." Oh, here it is. I said, "Hey, just me and you tomorrow for recommended holes." It's supposed to be recommendals, which isn't a word, but it was pretty funny. And now we're into the recommended holes, which Brian
Recommended
promptly
holes.
said Courtney Love would definitely win recommended holes. Anyway, because she was in a band called Hull. Anyway, long
I got
story
it,
there.
I got it.
Yep, we got you.
Scuds McKenzie says, what? Scuds McKenzie says AC is done. You're insane. That thing sold so many copies. You're an insane person. It's one of the world's main multi-seller guaranteed giant video games when they put one out. I think Scuds McKenzie is drunk and should go home. He's not.
Well, he's that dog that liked to sell Budweiser, right? Or wait, was that Spuds McKenzie?
It was Spuds.
What's Scuds McKenzie?
I think Scuds McKenzie is his take on Spuds McKenzie.
Oh.
Yeah. I think that's what he's doing. He's throwing way back to an old Taco Bell ad from the 90s there.
Wait. He didn't. Spuds McKenzie didn't sell Taco Bell, did he? I thought he was like a Budweiser dog.
No, Spuds McKenzie. Oh, wait.
No,
Yeah.
you're thinking of the Taco Bell Chihuahua, who didn't. I don't think had a name.
He didn't have a name.
Spuds McKenzie was a Budweiser dog. When I was a little kid, I thought he was great,
Yeah.
and I had a giant Spuds McKenzie plush that I could lay on top of. It was so big. It was my favorite thing.
Yeah, that was dumb. I will say that I'm also thinking of Slurms McKenzie, which was a Futurama parody about Spuds McKenzie, but it was for their drink Slurm in that world. And if you've never seen the Slurm episode of Futurama, you have really truly missed out on one of the greatest half hours of television ever made.
Is it weird that I still think Slurm sounds good?
It
Even though
does,
I
and
have
you
seen that.
You and freaking Fry think it tastes so good that even while they're
say like drink some Slurm. Like, doesn't
no,
you realize it's like one letter off from
sperm.
Sure.
But what what they show is like at the end, it's coming out of the butt of a giant queen worm.
Yeah, but if it's good, it's good.
I know, and that's what Fry said, because Fry went, "Ew, disgusting," and then kept drinking it.
Yeah, exactly.
Scuds McKenzie's insane about
what?
Assassin's Creed. I'm
well,
flummoxed.
to be fair, I haven't played the game, so I have no opinion personally, but I have seen some feedback to the effect that not everyone's a fan of the MMO loot direction and would just prefer an adventure game.
Well, I wouldn't call it MMO at all. I'd call it like it's very Witcher-like.
But there's the level up and unlocks, and the
Yeah,
RPG loop is present in the game. I've seen a lot of praise in that regard, but there are people who don't like that about it, and I think that's just down to personal taste.
Yeah, but to say AC is done. It's done. No more AC. We're out. It's done. Come on. That's a silly thing to say. That's like saying, Mario's all open world in 3D now. It's done. No more Mario. Done. Done. All right. Moving on. Hey, Path of Exile. Why? What's going on? What's happening over there? Why are you back in?
I'm back in. Well, so I played it a long time ago, and at the time, Act 3 was the end, and I was at the last boss, and I just decided to probably move on to go back to play Heroes, but I'm not playing Heroes or Hearthstone as much.
Okay.
I decided, hey, let me jump back in. It's been a little bit. Let's see what's going on in here. And oh my god, there's so much more in this game now. So I'm just like, well, let me play through the campaign, see how I like it, and I just keep playing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's good, and if Blizzard is paying attention with Diablo 4, and I'm not talking about this grimdark aesthetic that people sort of criticize Diablo 4, but they look at the free-to-play model, the drip feed of content of something new and exciting frequently happening, and the customization options in particular of items and gems, and instead of I feel really that Diablo 3 like is very much doesn't have that science feel to it, where like trying to find items and gems and putting that all together to make cool things is really good in Path of Exile.
Do you like the big tree though? The big.
I love the big tree. The big tree is fun because you can zoom it out. There's a search box, so if I'm looking for specific things, I can search for it. It's not that bad, and ultimately, the skill tree, its passives, they're not super impactful to your character. And I feel like there's another conversation happening while we're talking because the chat room is exploding over Assassin's Creed still.
My new favorite thing is just people going, this thing is done. It's done.
Yeah,
People are
no,
saying
it's
Bo
like
is
people
done, and
who
I'm like, no, I'm not done.
It's like people who yelled "WoW is dead" back in 2008. WoW's dead. It's a dead game. Dead game. Uninstall. It's the thing we always say. GG uninstall, right? That whole joke. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. So I just timed out that guy for 600 seconds. Anyway, go ahead.
Guns McKenzie's here a lot, though. Let's not be too mean.
I'm not being mean. I didn't ban him. I just don't want to listen because he says to me, "Oh, Ubisoft blowing smoke up your butt." No, okay, you get timed out for that.
Ubisoft pays Scott, by the way.
I hate that attitude.
Ubi bucks.
I'm not saying it's a problem that he doesn't like the game. I think that's great. He doesn't need to. I'm guessing he hasn't actually played it because that's the tone I'm getting from him. But even if he has, if he's played it all the way through and has this opinion, he should have that opinion. That's fine. And I should like it. He should hate it. That isn't the problem. Him sitting here telling me that I'm wrong because of it or that I'm somehow in their back pocket pisses me off. So I hit time out. You've been timed out.
We'll never know because you timed him out, and now we don't know how he'll. I want to know if he played it. But...
Our phone number's still up, isn't it?
Okay, that would be hilarious.
It would be
if he
great. I would
called
take
and he's
it.
like,
I would take a phone call from him.
All right,
no
well,
problem.
don't call it, because I want to talk about Path of Exile.
All right, go
yes,
ahead.
keep telling us about Path
Go
of
ahead.
Exile.
No, we're just having a thing here. Please, everyone, cool off, and we'll be friends again soon.
Yeah.
It's not done.
All right, so yeah. Anyways, Path of Exile is great. Dude, you want to know any more?
Uh,
I'm so out of the zone. It's good, Scott.
I know it's good, but does it still play like stiff old like Diablo 2 moving characters?
Yeah, it's still it fails where Diablo 3 wins, but it wins where Diablo 3 fails. Is the best way I can describe it. For example, Path of Exile doesn't have damage numbers. It really hurts my feelings. It's good enough for me to keep playing, but no floating damage text.
I thought you could turn that on. No,
They don't have it in Path of Exile.
I thought they did.
And that's weird. I like my damage numbers.
Yeah.
But the big criticism is their monster variety.
Yeah.
A lot of them are humanoids. Not really that great. I mean, you are slaughtering them by the thousands. Don't love that most of them are humanoids, and that's what I was like, oh man. Think of all the cool designs in Diablo 3. All the criticism against the monster designs are pretty awesome. The guy that shakes off all the little bugs and you kill all the little bugs and it procs your on death ability. Like, there's some really innovative mechanics and designs. The death angels that swirl around. There's some cool stuff in Diablo that is noticeably not here. It has that grim dark kind of crappy feel. They have worked on the game and massaged it. So the new acts, they've added on acts to the game. Do have updated, you can tell that there's a progression that they're releasing content, and apparently in 2020 there's going to be a mega expansion, so the game's still receiving new content for people to look forward to. So that's it. To me, those are the places that there's shortcomings, but the juice of the game, the ARPG juice, is in full force.
Yeah.
You can take all the abilities earn gems, and you slot the gems into equipment. So basically, all equipment, no matter how rare, are like legendaries. And then what you can do with your gems as you get more and more nodes is there's spell and attack gems, and then there's support gems that modify the way those gems work. And I just unlocked as soon as I don't know, I'm getting to the end of the tail of this game. I unlock proccing gems, stuff that makes you proc things on hit. Not what they determine. You can take one spell and say, on a critical hit, proc this other spell. So now I've got equipment that fire. I have an ice orb, and when I channel my ice orb, I have a procking gem that's on channeling, cast this other spell, and I'm shooting 2 spells at a time now, saving up buttons. And I'm like, whoa, I feel like a scientist figuring out how to make all this stuff work. And I'm like, this isn't in Diablo 3. I picked my gem or my rune in my ability, and I'm done.
Yeah.
This is what if you could take rune from this one and put it in this one and then make a little. And I'm like, I sat in my stash for 2 hours last night trying to figure out how to make this work with the equipment that I got. And then I'm like, I can't wait to get an equipment with 5 slots in it because it's got the juice. It's really good. It's a big recommend.
I'm gonna have to get back in, and their claim and straight up saying the words, our 4.0 mega expansion will compete with Diablo 4 is a pretty crazy thing to say, not knowing much about Diablo 4.
I think
knowing
that's
that it doesn't exist really at the moment.
But that does speak to the power of anything with Diablo in it. That name means something. So
But what I appreciate about saying that is they realize that they're in a space where their Diablo 4 is the big monster in the room, and people will look at that or look at their game, and their players are sold on the notion that this is what the Diablo 2 spiritual successor is.
Right.
You know, it has its own things to it, but it does have that grim, dark, things look kind of ugly feel.
Mm-hmm.
It does. It's janky in some ways. I find the movement abilities are like way laggy where they aren't in Diablo. But the juice is there. You just walk into a room, it's random, you clear stuff out, things drop. The best part about it is that most of the loot that drops, it tells you what the nodes are, and that's really what you want to know. So you don't have to pick anything up. There's no currency in the game. You trade them for scrolls and for items. So there's no gold money. So you don't feel this compulsion to have to pick up things and sell it because there's no gold, no repair bills.
Right.
If you play on normal mode, there's no death penalty until you're really high level. You lose experience, but that's like mega end game. I haven't hit it, and I'm like level 50. It does a lot of things right, and it's good. It's really good.
All right. I'll poke back in.
And I've put in like 1,000 hours in Diablo 3. Like, it's okay to play a different game in the genre
of course.
and enjoy
Yeah.
it. So
I
I'm
always
glad it
look forward
exists.
to them too. It doesn't even matter who's making it or what it is. I always go, ooh, action RPG. What is this? What is this? I mean, it's my favorite genre. I love it. So
and the voice acting is pretty spectacular too in it. With
It
the
is-
little
it is
text and
good.
reads, it's very good actually.
Did they have what was I going to say? Has anything changed much, or is what's the community's take on, like, since Tencent bought it all, or is it Tencent? Yeah, Tencent bought them.
Tencent bought grinding gear.
Yeah, so it's now a Chinese company again.
Well, Tencent's going to own Planet Earth, I take it, at some point.
Yeah, like all these old
I had no idea they owned it.
What's the movie where Taco Bell became the only restaurant?
Demolition
Man. Demolition Man should have shown that the only company in the world would be Tencent, but they just didn't know.
Oh.
Yeah, they were close. As soon as Tencent buys Taco Bell, really, it's happened. Honestly, I look forward to our Demolition Man future.
Yeah, there you go.
I like that movie takes time out of its runtime to just let Dennis Leary do a stand-up bit.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm with
Right
you.
in the middle of the movie, they're like, "Hey, you want to just do a bit from your stand-up routine?" Yeah, sure. Will it make sense? I don't know.
We had a joke this morning on TMS that Mario, or no, how did it go? Well, anyway, it came down. You know the 3 shells thing in Demolition Man.
Oh, he doesn't know how to use the 3.
The idea was that Mario in Mario Kart gets 3 shells. He gets the power up for 3 shells, and that's how Mario wipes his butt.
Okay,
So that's the thing.
good.
So
I
that's the
see the
thing.
through line there.
Yeah, and I agree with.
Have you guys ever film sacked Demolition Man?
Yes.
It's probably never. It's been on something.
Yeah, we did
need to
it.
go
We
look
did that
that
a long
up.
time. It's been a while, and we just did Fifth Element last weekend.
I was shocked you hadn't already done Fifth Element.
Everybody had. They figured that when we finally did that movie, it would be end times and the world would end. But sadly,
I think it's just because I've heard you talk about Fifth Element enough that I assumed that you had done it because I knew how you felt about Ruby Rod.
yeah.
Cool,
You need to.
cool,
You know what you need to
man.
do is listen to the latest one and learn why. Why I actually came away from this viewing liking Ruby Rod more and finding out that the true Jar Jar Binks of Fifth Element is Bruce
It's
Willis's.
that woman who talks that
Yes,
way.
it's the woman that calls Bruce Willis the mom. Oh, I thought you were a good son, you piece of shit son.
Yeah.
She sucks. Oh my
I
gosh.
love Ruby Rod. I am going to be hipster and put on my little hipster hat and say I have always loved Ruby
Well,
Rod.
I will admit to not liking him until, for whatever reason, this last time I actually enjoyed him in it. So, I don't know what happened there, but he doesn't feel right.
I don't feel right, Kobe.
All right, anyway. Let's
It's
move.
because Chris Tucker is actually really funny and endearing, and we just got a little too much of him, and we've had some time, and we realize, hey,
Yeah, and it's okay
Chris
now.
Tucker's all right.
Yeah, Ruby Rod's all right. Except for that one scene. It was real dumb. Remember this guy, though? He was the guy in the hallway.
Yeah, like with the gun.
Yeah,
Give
he's
me
the
cash.
best.
That
Give me the
guy.
cash. Give me the cash. Give me the cash. Like, he's right up there with the paper guy from Waterworld for me.
Oh, he's so great. And when he tells him he has to push a button and he like starts to have convulsions because he has to push a button on the gun and
Yeah.
he doesn't know what to do and he's just like, oh god.
He basically turns it off. It's so good.
It's
So good.
great. I
That
love
movie.
that
That movie remains great. I loved watching it. It was great. And that's on Netflix right now. All right, let's get to a quick email. This came to us to our website, frogpants.com/core. You're encouraged to use it as often as you like, and it reads like this. This is from Marcus. He says, "Hi, core people. This is Marcus, and I have a question for you about something." Or as he wrote, something. You guys are very PC-oriented in your gaming. Do you feel like you have to defend this choice a lot? Keep it coming, Marcus.
Well, as a gaming conservative, I believe in gaming responsibly.
Yeah.
And, the PLs sometimes take their social justice things too far.
Uh-huh.
I just want people to know that conservative gamers are gamers too.
Right.
And we value much of the same things. So we should be able to, as they say in Death Stranding trailer, come together.
That's right. Bring your bridge, baby, and come together. Let's get this going.
I was like, do we really want to say come together like 4 or 5 times in this trailer? Is that the theme of this? Because I got a dirty mind.
Yeah,
this
you
sounds
do.
Like we're Al Swearingen again.
Yeah, you want simultaneous physical orgasms is what you're thinking.
I mean, that's exactly the first time I heard it, didn't think of it. Then the second time and third time, and I'm like,
yep.
They know that sounds like, right?
Here's the thing, though. My hot platform is PC for sure, but I'm using this Oculus Quest a whole lot right now. I got a what do you call it over there? Nintendo Switch sitting right there. My PS4's right over there. I don't have an Xbox One right now, but that's about it. I do a lot of tablet and phone gaming. I don't feel like I'm limited, or I'm not like some superior PC race kind of guy, but I do think it's the best overall platform for all the things I like, and that may not be true for everybody. So I don't feel like I have to defend it. It's just
I don't think I have to defend it, but I think sometimes like Scott is very much like you are a lover of games.
Yeah.
You went to the arcade this week. You like arcade games, you like pinball machines. I know I listened to your conversation with Steven Schleicher. I can't speak anymore.
Right.
About pinball machines and stuff this week on TMS. Like, you were a lover of games and all modes of transportation.
I do.
So I think it comes up just because John and I basically only own a PC for games. Like, it's not even that I have anything against it. I just don't own the other stuff. I play on the PC and it's sated, like, for me. So, I just think probably it comes up a lot because we don't have as much to say about it. And John doesn't like mobile, but I think you own consoles.
I don't love mobile, but I have a PS4. I owned an Xbox One at one point. I no longer do. I want a Switch, but I just haven't found a time and a place to justify the cost to get in on it.
Probably this year. They do a re-release or whatever the rumor is. This might be your year.
It could be.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not opposed to it. It's just a lot of money, and I know a lot of people say, "Oh, it's not that bad," but I think we talked about on the show, those games never really go on sale. So it's like, okay, well, I got my Switch, and now there's 4 or 5 games that I've waited for to justify purchasing the Switch, and that's a lot of money to suddenly be throwing at games as well.
Yeah.
So I like console gaming. I like gaming in general. Even for all the shit I throw at mobile, I've been playing a ton of Hearthstone on my phone. But I don't feel like I need to defend PC gaming. I just feel like, it's like you said at the beginning, right now load times are really important to me. So if a game is coming out, odds are I want it on PC, but that's not me saying, oh, it has to be the platform. It's just that's where my desire is, because I know that's going to be the best experience that I personally will have.
Yeah.
But I play what you want where you can. That's what I say.
Yeah, and where you like. And if you like multiple stuff, great. If you like the one, that's cool too. I have zero judgment for any of it. I like gaming in general. Unabashedly.
Stop spending on free-to-play games that actually could buy a console.
Yeah.
Usually I have my budget for gaming for the month, and I'm good and buy any games, and then Path of Exile, there goes $20 buying stash tabs. Things like that.
This is all true. By the way, the chat room wanted to know if we had talked about NetEase partnering with Pokemon Company for an official game in China called Pokemon Sleep. Wait, is this? Or no, I'm sorry. Pokemon Quest. Pokemon Sleep is a whole separate thing.
Yeah.
But apparently in China they're getting together on some kind of Pokemon business.
Maybe I'll get to bed on time to play Pokemon Sleep.
Yeah, if I can play a game that is Pokemon while I sleep, I'm on board with that.
That's right.
How do you play it?
I don't know. I haven't read up into it. It's something weird. It's some kind of weird Snorlax based weird shit. It's
I don't. Snorlax. Is
All I know is that
alright,
it aims to turn sleeping into entertainment by having the players' time spent sleeping and the time they wake up affect the gameplay.
right. And their stuff happens at night. Like
Is this to help your kids go to sleep? Like it's fun. Like, oh, if we don't go to bed, Snorlax will turn into a big monster
probably.
and kill you.
Probably.
So
Oh.
get to bed, you little shit.
No, I don't know. Like I mean, I saw that thing pop up in my newsfeed and went, "Oh, we're gonna have to look at that," but then I didn't. So I don't know. But it's supposed to help people.
I already think sleep is pretty fun. Honestly,
I
Like,
love sleep.
I would
when
pick
I can
that
get it.
over most things.
Yeah,
so.
when I can get it, I am into it. But it's hard to get it sometimes. Sleep, I mean. I don't know why, but I used to think that the older people got, I'm in my late 40s now, but I used to think the older people got, they would get more sleep time or they get more tired and therefore sleep longer at night. It's not actually true. In fact, I think the reason they sleep like when the game's on during Thanksgiving dinner or whatever, like all the stereotypes, is because they can't sleep at night. They can only manage to get a few naps in during the day.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I'm had the worst lately at night. I don't know what my problem is.
I fell asleep in my chair for the first time ever. Was that on this show that I talked about that, or was that
Yes.
a different show?
No, I think
Yeah,
it was here, but because that's
Yeah,
a
I think it was
comfortable
here.
chair you got.
No, this chair is the worst. This chair is held together literally by Velcro and a prayer that it will continue to exist. It's not good.
Oh, keep it, because one day that chair will break while we're doing a show, and it'll be a glorious moment in podcasting history.
Yeah.
It could. I don't know. It makes my tailbone hurt when I'm done sitting in it.
all right.
It's not
So-
good.
We sacrifice. We sacrifice for the
All
greater
right.
good.
Well, now Scuds McKenzie is having fun. He's back in after his timeout.
He's a good listener.
No, he's
We-
fine.
we've
He's
seen him
fine.
here.
But he came back after his timeout and said, "Uninstall sleep. GG. Sleep is dead." He's having a good time with it now. It's fine.
Nah, we're still friends.
We're all
Peace.
good. It's just like if I sent my own kid to the corner. I still love you, bud. Still love
Come
you, but
together.
you got to go to the
right
corner for a
now.
while because you're being bad.
Over me.
All right. Hey, that's that's the end of that. If you'd like to send us voicemails, that's cool too. 801-471-0462, and that's 801-471-0462. And I think that's going to do it for this evening's shenanigans. Nice long show tonight. Woo,
Yeah,
really
Cora's
long.
dead.
Cora's dead. Oh, Cora's dead. GG, uninstall Cora.
GG.
Y'all are great, and you're all amazing. What else do we have to say? Go to our website, frogpants.com/core. Support us on Patreon at patreon.com/core show, rather, /core show. You'll want to be doing that. And also, like I said before, follow us on Twitter, CorePod, John_Jagger, Scott Johnson, and Bo Schwartz. That's going to do it for us. For me, for John, for Bo. We'll see you next time. Bye now. This show is part of the Frog Pants Network.
Frog Pants Network.
Get more shows like this at frogpants.com. Oh, yeah, never mind.
We're not using That's a Good Question anymore because that was the bumper for emails. So
Right,
thank you for
which I
using it.
forgot to use for emails.
So that's a good question.